The mainstream media, because someone has to be in charge of selective outrage in this country. The Kate Daly Show starts now.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it. Sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
That was Denzel. Yep. Welcome to the Kate Daly Show. So glad to have you listening in today. And of course, he can call it out, but other people can't. See, when Denzel calls it out, it's fine. When other people call it out, then they attack him and go after him. It's so amazing to me, the hypocrisy. Welcome to the show. We have so much to talk about. This show is huge today. Why? Because I've invited Lara Logan on with me, she's amazing. Can I just say that this is a voice you need to listen to? Welcome to the show, first of all. Lara, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You bet. You are amazing. Former chief foreign affairs correspondent, 16 years, right? And then, of course, well known for covering Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Producer and writer known for 60 Minutes and started out clear back in 1992. Has done an amazing, I think, sort of reveal and an expose on media, where we stand today. And you've been covering and so vocal about so many issues that we've been vocal about on this show. The COVID and Fauci and Ukraine, and we have so much to talk about. And if I was going to ask you the state of the media today, how would you answer that question? What's the state of the media today?
Well, it's pretty obvious that it's catastrophic in many respects. I mean, unfortunately, so many journalists have just failed to do their jobs. It's outrageous that 60 Minutes and other places are still pushing the lie that there's no evidence of any significant fraud in 2020. Right. And these journalists are just not doing their job. So I feel like for them to go before the nation and speak as if they're a voice of knowledge and authority at this point is it's a complete travesty. And it is a disservice to everyone in this country. I mean, we're too far gone to worry about, personal issues or small things, right? We're now really in a very serious situation. When you have the media, covering up for people who are putting pornographic books inside schools, right, and suppressing the voices of people, what has happened is that ordinary people have gotten tired of it. They've fed up, and now they have the technology to get their voices out there themselves. That's what they're doing. But the reality is that what you sort of have this mess of today, where you've got a mixture of some people are bringing in AI because it brings down the cost. And I asked one of these firms, I was talking to them, and I said, how do you know that your AI is accurate? Oh, we're going to be checking it. But checking it against what? Yeah. I mean, over time, what's going to happen is that whatever the AI reports is going to become fact, right? And if you lose your eyes on the ground, your firsthand reporting from human beings, then you lose the truth. Right. It just becomes easier and easier to hide. So we've got this horrible mess where mainstream legacy media has completely failed us. They've carried one false narrative after another, year after year after year. Even when the truth has been exposed, they haven't done anything to correct it. They're still carrying water for the, people who steal elections and so on, just ignoring whatever is inconvenient and saying, like when Leslie Stahl told, Donald Trump that they couldn't prove, there was no evidence, and they couldn't prove that the Hunter Biden's laptop wasn't, legitimate. I mean, that was just not true either. So you've got that on the one side. Then you have, the rise of social media, where the reality with technology is we don't control anything. Mm-hmm. These people, so everyone loves Elon Musk right now, and that's great. But if Elon Musk wanted to turn around tomorrow and censor everybody, he could do it, right? Yes. So technology gives people unprecedented amounts of power. And it's based on its monopoly power, because they want to monopolize whatever space. I mean, Microsoft Word is useless to you if you can't send a Word document to people all over the world.
Yeah.
So now you don't just need a monopoly in your own backyard. Now you need a global monopoly, right? What makes Twitter powerful is that people all over the world, millions and millions and millions of people are on there participating. But we've become we've become workhorses for all of these people. They got us to believe that this technology serves us, but it doesn't really serve us. It's serving them more than it serves us, because what do we know? That we create the content, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else. We're creating the content. They're creating the platform, so they're contributing something. But without the content that we provide, most of which is not compensated, a little bit of ad revenue here and there is an infinitesimal fraction of what these companies are making. And most importantly, they decide what we can do and what we can't do, and whether you live or die. It's their decision. And there's increasingly only a machine or, a text message or something digital for you to turn to. You can't even turn to a human being. And then you have the rise of citizen journalism, which is a wonderful thing, and I'm very supportive of it. But at the same time, you've got, you have a young citizen journalist go to a building that's supposed to have been taken over by one of the most violent cartels in the world, Tren de Aragua, out of Venezuela, and he's going around the building asking people if they're members of this, basically what is a foreign paramilitary organization of criminals. So do you think one of those people could ever tell you on camera that they're, I'm a member. Oh, yeah, they're here. They run the building. I pay my rent to them. I mean, give me a break. Do you know what happens to people if they tell you the truth? When you're gone, their children are raped to death in front of them, and then they're slowly tortured and murdered themselves. I mean, so, I feel a little bit like the brain has just left the room. There was a time when journalists were supposed to be, you're supposed to try to be something of a historian. You have to study the history of a place. I studied economics in college because I wanted to know how the economy worked. I hated economics.
You're curious.
I didn't, I did a Bachelor of Commerce degree, not because I wanted to go into business, but because I understood that business drove politics and money drives much of what is happening around us in the world. And I knew that I needed to understand it to report on it. So, we've gotten into the business of just reacting to things emotionally, reacting to things online. We feel like we're, more informed than ever, but we're drowning in a sea of content. It's hard to follow, anything with any kind of consistency. And there's definitely a concerted, organized effort to play on our emotions. Plus, at the same time, we're being siloed into these feedback loops where, just say that you're a Kamala Harris supporter, right? You're a Democrat. And every little thing that's positive about her gets inserted into your feedback loop. So you're going into this election thinking there's no way she can lose. I mean, then if you're, in another feedback loop that's Trump, 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 I mean, you're going into this election thinking, well, this is, there's no way that she has a chance, and so somewhere between those two silos is the truth. There's something called the truth, and it's being sacrificed on the altar of expediency, and we're losing control over our ability to discern the truth. I don't think we'll ever lose that ability because it's something that comes from God, and so it's always going to be part of us. People are going to push back, but at the same time, it is ironic to me that in the age of information, where you have more information at your fingertips than any other time in living history, it's becoming increasingly difficult to discern the truth, and that is by design.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And the parameters that the mainstream media is given, do you think the people that work in this industry do you think it's willful ignorance, just ignorance? Do you think they'll just, what percentage obeys those parameters? They do not go ask questions. They're not curious. They don't go beyond. Like you just said, you were curious enough to study things. What percentage just goes with what they're told as parameters and doesn't think twice? Or is it willful ignorance? They just want the job.
Well, you don't really have to be told what the parameters are because what you see is the price that is paid.
Gotcha.
Everywhere that you look around you, we reward people who lie and we punish people who tell the truth. that happens across industry.
I agree.
So, we tell our kids, how many parents in this country tell their kids, don't say this or don't say that at school.
Right.
Don't write this in your lessons because you want to graduate, right?
It's a great
You will
point.
never get into a college if you are honest about being conservative or being Christian or being anti-abortion, because the colleges are run by people who don't appreciate that. If you challenge the narrative of the day by questioning it, well, then you are labeled, right? You're problematic.
Right.
You don't get rewarded by the system. And so we encourage our kids to lie when they come home from college, for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever it is. We lie to them. We lie about who we are.
Right.
We all avoid the conversation. Many people avoid the conversation. They don't want to ruin the little time that they have. We're not honest about who we are, what we believe in, why we don't support things. We're so scared that somebody's going to call us a racist that we don't stand up and say, Lloyd Austin was a terrible candidate for Secretary of Defense. He's drastically unqualified, and weak and without any moral character or integrity, and he'll be a disaster in the Department of Defense. Oh, goodness, no, you couldn't possibly say that, because then someone's going to say, well, you're not, if you're a congressman, you're not voting for him because he's black. And you don't want to pick that fight. Why? Because people are so afraid to speak up and so afraid to stand up that that you're going to be sacrificed on the altar of political expediency and the political assassination teams that are out there making sure that everybody stays in line. So when it comes to the media, I don't want people to get the wrong idea. Certainly when I was there, and I spent 16 years at CBS and I was a full-time correspondent at 60 Minutes. Nobody said to you, you can only do this or you can't do that. But when you're surrounded by people who think that overturning Roe v. Wade is a war crime, a crime against humanity that must be resisted at all costs, usually the people who don't agree don't speak up because they don't want to be, they don't want to be isolated. They don't want to be rejected by their community. Remember, we're herd animals, and there's safety in numbers. It's in our DNA to survive. So we gravitate towards the flock, right? And so when the flock knows, well, why would I pick to do an honest story about this?
Right.
When I'm just, it's easier for me. There's tons of stories to do on a daily basis. I don't have to do that. So I'm just going to pick something else. So just like we self-censor.
We'll be right back. More with Lara Logan. Isn't she fantastic? Be right back. Kate Daly Show, KateDalyRadio.com. Hold on. I'm just waiting for the computer to shut off.